Now listen, we all love a good gun, but sometimes the firearm world cranks out something so head-scratching it makes you wonder if the designer lost a bet, or just really hated functionality. Today we're counting down the top 10 most useless guns ever made. So bad they make airsoft look tactical. These are the guns you buy when common sense is MIA and your wallet's feeling reckless. So buckle up, Buttercup, this list has got more bad decisions than my high school haircut and more cringe than a tactical vest on a first date. Let's dive in before one of these things jams out of pure embarrassment. This ain't a gun, it's a conversation piece you keep in your pocket next to your chewing gum. The Swiss Mini gun is smaller than your sense of commitment after 3 beers and a bad Tinder date. It's a fully functional revolver, sure, but it fires 2.34mm rimfire rounds. Now, that ain't a bullet, that's a suggestion. You pull this thing out at the range and folks don't ask what caliber is that, they ask, is that real? It looks like it came from a gumball machine, and yet it'll cost you thousands of dollars. Not hundreds, thousands. You could buy a safe full of Glocks, ammo, and a lifetime supply of jerky for the price of this little bugger. And functionality, well, it's got the stopping power of a firm handshake and the range of a TikTok trend. Here for 2 seconds, then gone. No one's using this for self-defense unless you're being attacked by a Lego figure. You'll lose this thing faster than your will to finish a group project. Sure, it's Swiss-made and the craftsmanship is chef's kiss, but unless you're trying to impress a Bond villain or win the world's most over-designed keychain award, this thing's about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Carry this if your vibe is, I like to collect things that make no sense but look expensive. You saw an AR-15 style shotgun and thought, heck yeah, now we're talking business. You imagine stacking shells in your mag, loading up some buckshot, and tearing through steel like an operator in a low-budget action movie. Instead, what you got was a cycling issue, a stovepipe, and a new reason to scream into a towel. These things are vibes over function, pure social media bait. They look cool, especially when paired with a plate carrier and a pair of Oakleys, but they run like a shopping cart with 3 locked wheels and a grudge. Standard loads? Nah, son, this diva needs high brass and a prayer. You'll spend more time tuning your gas system than actually firing rounds. And even then, she might still jam just to remind you who's boss. It's heavy, clunky, and balanced like a drunk toddler on a skateboard. And while it's great for handling recoil due to touch points, most of these jam like no one's business. Let's not even start on aftermarket mods. Because if you don't mod it, it won't run. And if you do mod it, you'll still question your decisions. This gun definitely lives rent-free in the looks tactical, shoots theatrical category. It's for people who bought into the aesthetic without checking the reviews. If your range day ends with you covered in unburnt powder and shame, congratulations. You probably bought one of these. Now this gun is all status but zero functionality. This is a Desert Eagle in .50 caliber Action Express. If you own one, that tells me 2 things about you right off the bat. You love making an entrance, and you definitely skipped leg day. This hand cannon ain't a pistol, it's a lifestyle. It doesn't fit in a holster, it fits in your glove box, and honestly, it barely fits in a responsible decision. See, this bad boy weighs over 4 pounds and kicks harder than a mule on pre-workout. The recoil alone could send your optic into orbit. You fire 1 round and everyone at the range flinches like it's a thunderclap. See, you didn't bring a gun, you brought a statement piece. It's a kind of weapon that says, I have watched every John Wick movie twice with commentary. And yet, you don't carry it, you pose with it, you show it off in the group chat. You mag dump it once a month, complain about ammo prices, and then you tuck it back in its foam padded case like a Fabergé. Ammo? $30 for a mag, and you're praying it feeds clean. Capacity 7 rounds. You better hit something, because you're going to need to pause for a reload and maybe a chiropractic adjustment. But you know what? You don't care. Because the Desert Eagle's job ain't to be practical, it's to be seen. The gun for movie heroes, YouTube thumbnails, and guys who list alpha male energy in their dating profile. It's not about the shot, it's about the spectacle. And you are all about that spectacle. Now, a circuit judge. Man, this thing is having an identity crisis in real time. It's a revolver, it's a rifle, it's a shotgun, it's also none of those things particularly well. Chambered in .410 or .45 Colt, it was clearly built by someone who said, what if we slapped a revolver on a long gun and just saw what happened? Then they actually went through with it. At close range, sure, it can be fun. Busting up varmints or throwing some .410 at paper targets while pretending that you're a sheriff of your backyard range, well yeah, that's entertainment value right there, but take a few steps back and the accuracy starts falling apart like cheap patio furniture. The long barrel don't help when the groupings are more of a suggestion than a pattern. Well, let's talk about reload speed or the lack thereof. You're still dealing with a swing-out cylinder and single-round loading, just like Grandpa's Nightstand Special. Only now it's on a 3-foot-long Franken rifle that looks like it should be hunting aliens or holding up a steampunk saloon. Look, it's fun in the same way that riding a unicycle's fun. It's entertaining, it's confusing, and not something you really want to rely on when things get spicy. Pest control, sure. Tactical versatility, yeah, that's a no from me, partner. You didn't buy this thing because it made sense, though. You bought it because you saw it and thought, well, that's kind of weird. I'll take it. This thing right here, the Kolibri, is proof that just because you can, don't mean you should. It fires the smallest centerfire cartridge in the world, the 2mm pinfire. Folks, that ain't a bullet, that's a metallic insult. If you handed this to a raccoon, they'd be offended. It was made in the early 1900s for reasons that no one is entirely sure of. Self-defense? From what? Angry dust mites? Its muzzle velocity is slower than your first car, and it's got less stopping power than a passive-aggressive Post-it note. Shoot, you could probably block around from this thing with a hoodie and a bad attitude. It was never designed to be effective, though. It was a novelty. Hey, look what we can do kind of thing. Today, it's more of a historical collector's item. The kind of thing you keep under glass next to your grandpa's war medals and photo of him standing next to a tank. Ain't nobody carrying this. You don't holster the Kolibri, you misplace it between your car keys and some old breath mints. If you're feeling like flexing this at the range, either you're deep into steampunk cosplay or you're trying to win an award for weirdest way not to hit anything. Now we're talking about the North American Arms Mini-Revolvers. And oh boy, these things are tiny. We're talking single action, pocket-sized, oh wait, I forgot I even had this on me energy. If a regular revolver's a 6-shooter, this is more like a we'll see what happens shooter. Chambered in 22 LR or 22 Magnum, they'll go bang, sure, but under stress, good luck actually aiming this thing. That grip is barely big enough for one finger, and the sights might as well be a suggestion from your imagination. You fire it and hope for the best, which is kind of a bold strategy if you're in an actual self-defense scenario. Capacity's pretty low. The reloads take forever and you've got sausage fingers, well then you're basically out of luck. It's like reloading a cap gun with tweezers. These little dudes are often sold as deep concealment options, and yes, they'll fit in your boot, your pocket, and maybe even inside the hat brim if you're really feeling Wild West. But let's not kid ourselves, this ain't your primary carry or even your backup. This is your emergency last ditch. The bad guy didn't check my sock gun. It's cool, it's clever, and it's a fun piece to show your buddies, but if it's your favorite, you're probably the same kind of person who calls an air horn a musical instrument. You don't need more firepower, you just need a little chaos. Now, this thing right here, this is the fire-breathing gremlin of the gun world, the Draco AK pistol. Imagine an AK-47, but someone chopped the stock off, shrunk the barrel, and then handed it to the nearest hype beast with a gold chain and no ear probe. It's loud, it's rowdy, and it kicks harder than a caffeinated mule in a mosh pit. With a pistol-length barrel and no shoulder stock, taming this beast feels more like herding cats than shooting straight. Every round you send down range is a flashbang for everyone within a 5-lane radius. Muzzle rise? Try muzzle teleportation. Accuracy? Only if you're aiming at the general zip code, but ballistically speaking, that short barrel robs you of everything that makes 7.62 worth using past a few yards. You're not getting range or terminal performance, you're getting a portable flamethrower with delusions of grandeur. And let's be honest, you didn't buy the Draco to be practical, you bought it because you saw someone in a rap video dump a mag with one hand and thought, yeah, I too am built for clout. Your range trips are 20% shooting, 80% filming slow-mo clips for Instagram with Chief Keef type beat playing in the background. Functionally, well, it's about as refined as a busted chainsaw, but man, it sure does look cool when you're not hitting anything. The Derringer. This is what happens when someone in the 19th century says, what if we stopped there and everyone else just went along with it? 2 shots, that's it. No magazine, no speed, no modern anything. This stubby little pocket pistol's barely a step above pointing your finger and yelling bang. Aiming? Best of luck. Sights are theoretical. Reloading? Well, you better hope the threat politely steps aside while you fumble with tiny cartridges and a hinged barrel. Derringers are single action, low capacity, and ergonomically designed for folks who enjoy suffering. It's not even a good backup gun, it's more of a backup for your nostalgia. And yet, people still buy them. Not for defense, don't let anyone lie to you about that. They buy them because they're cute, tiny, and have that old school saloon showdown charm. You holster a Derringer and immediately grow a mustache whether you want one or not. Modern defensive utility, well, that's practically non-existent. But if you're into collecting old designs or cosplaying as a gambler from 1875, then hey, this one's got your name written in a wanted poster. The CZ Scorpion looks tactical. It feels tactical. It even sounds tactical when you say it out loud. But underneath all that polymer and rail space is a big old chunk of 9mm that doesn't really know what it wants to be when it grows up. It ain't compact enough to replace a pistol, and it sure ain't powerful enough to replace a proper rifle. It just sits awkwardly in the middle, heavy for what it's chambered in, and about as concealable as a folding lawn chair. You spent all this money on mags, braces, optics, and accessories, and by the end, you built a range toy that's too clunky for home defense and too weak for serious work. Now sure, it's fun to shoot, I'll give it that, but the Scorpion makes pew-pew noises real good, and it's reliable. But function-wise here, you're carrying around a gun that gives you the size of a rifle with none of the ballistic payoff. And the ergonomics are just weird. You're playing Tetris with your grip and cheek weld, trying to make it feel right, but never quite does. Owning one of these is kind of like buying a sports car and never leaving second gear. Spent a lot of money to go nowhere fast, but hey, at least it looks cool in your loadout photo. Okay, now we're diving straight into historical overkill with the Punt Gun. See, this wasn't a firearm, this was a feathered apocalypse. Designed for 19th century commercial waterfowl hunting, this thing could take out an entire flock in one blast. And when I say one blast, I mean it fired shells the size of soda cans. Think naval cannon, but for ducks. This monstrosity was too big to shoulder. You had to mount it on a flat-bottom boat called a punt, sneak up on unsuspecting birds, and then boom, launch about a pound a shot into the sky. The ducks are gone, but you hearing? Well, that's also gone. It was so effective, it actually got banned. That's right, they outlawed the punt gun because it was just too good at its job. In the modern world, though, this thing was absolutely useless. You'd need a permit, a forklift, and a lawyer just to load it. Not to mention the fact that it's basically a maritime artillery with zero practical application unless you're planning to liberate a small pond. But hey, if your thing is absurd historical firepower and you want to cosplay as a one-man duck-destroying death machine from the Victorian era, well, then the punt gun is your guy. Just don't expect to shoulder it unless you've been bench pressing church pews. But folks, we just took a scenic drive through the gun world's what were they thinking pile. If your favorite made the list, hey, don't worry, every safe needs a conversation piece or a paperweight. Smash that like button before your Draco jams and subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode of Guns That Probably Shouldn't. Stay safe, shoot straight, and remember, just because it goes bang doesn't mean it should.